Welcome to AFO Wealth Management Forward, a podcast powered by Arrowroot Family Office that's at the intersection of accounting, wealth management, behavioral finance, technology, and entrepreneurship. We help accounting firms and financial advisors grow their practice by going beyond the numbers as we learn from industry leaders and subject matter experts to discover the secret to their success. A podcast that highlights everything from the transformative power of AI to embracing the human-first approach of behavioral finance to help you understand the psychological and emotional relationships to money and meaning. Here is your host, Rory Henry, Director at Arrowroot Family Office and author of Holistic Guide to Wealth Management.
All right. Hello, everyone. I have another returning guest joining me today. He's the former CEO and chairman of Baker Tilly, where he helped scale the firm from $500 million to $1.5 billion. He's recently been advising CEOs and firms on culture leadership as a transformation and growth advisor. He's now the author of the brand new book, Break the Mold: How to Achieve Transformational Change, Scale, and Growth Simultaneously. So without further ado, let me introduce my friend, Alan Whitman. Alan, welcome back to the show.
Thanks, Rory. Very glad to be here. It's great to be coming back with you.
Yes, buddy. Well, let's get started here. You just wrote the book, and so I would love to know, why this book and why now?
Yeah, thanks. There's not a lot of books written about professional services, specifically CPA firms or partner-led organizations. There are books, but there's just not many. And you mentioned the numbers. And everybody gets excited about the numbers, $500 million to $1.5 billion in a very short period of time, 20 acquisitions, all that stuff. Great. I mean, those are just the results. But what I'm most proud of is the transformational shift that the organization accomplished, the mindset shift, and as the title says, how to scale transformational change, scale and grow simultaneously. That to me is what I'm most proud of. We changed a very, very good firm, great firm, while being steeped in the past into a very progressive organization that was very foot forward and leaning forward. And to me, that was what was so important in this journey. Without that, we wouldn't have achieved, the results wouldn't have resulted. And so to me, the ingredients of what did we do in order to achieve what was achieved, what needed to be written about. And since leaving Baker Tilly, I've been advising, as you said, a lot of CEOs, a lot of C-suite, whether they be tech companies, whether they be professional services companies, et cetera. And I've seen repeat of all the experiences I had at Baker Tilly. And so it's like, all right, there's something here more than just what I experienced. And so pulling it all together and then playing it back before the book was even written. I'd been coaching and advising for 2 years before I started the book. And so I validated that this wasn't just a one instance, a one trick pony. This was real, and it was recurring. And so it was like, all right, I gotta put it out there. It's been met with a lot of nodding heads. I've got a lot of emails. I've experienced that. Thank you. And so the timing was as a result of ratifying my thinking, and the need in my mind was getting something out there that everybody should read about, because it's stuff that people are experiencing every day as they try to progress their organizations.
Yeah. And speaking of progressing organizations, I mean, you were at Baker Tilly. This break the mold philosophy started there, but it seems like the profession is now just catching up to Alan and in the breaking of the mold, especially with PE getting involved in the profession and causing a seismic shift. Can you talk about the early experience at Baker Tilly and how you started to break the mold there first?
Yeah. Look, as the first couple of years of my tenure began, I listened a lot. I sat back, I observed, and I started making notes of all the things that I thought needed to be reimagined and redesigned. And we redid our strategy in 2018, and that was the fork in the road, whether we were just going to continue being the same type of organization, just try to work harder and achieve more by doing more, or are we going to reimagine how things happened? And look, every organization, every individual needs some sort of a calling card. right?
Hmm.
Just do more or just do what I say isn't enough. You need something to rally around.
Yeah.
Certainly you need to aspire towards a future vision and you need to align behind a mission. But if there's not a calling card or if there's not
A rallying
a
cry. Yeah.
future statement, a rally cry, it doesn't you don't achieve as much as you would hope to. And so the break the mold word mark, the concept was that rally cry. We're going to break free from where we were. And people got behind it in an enormously powerful way. And so, look, there's a lot of things happening. Yeah, my book is a culmination of a lot of things that we experienced, that a lot of firms are experiencing. That with the perfect storm of PE and technology and AI and recognizing what got us here
Yeah.
won't get us there. I'm just one component of a much bigger story. And hopefully the examples in the book and the isms and the lessons in the book are helpful in
Yeah.
people recognizing that it actually can be done.
Can be done. Well, let's speak about that story because I know when we spoke last time, I mentioned first principles and Reed Hastings and Elon Musk, and you talk about a blank canvas. Now, you're at Baker Tilly trying to transform that huge behemoth of an organization. And now I know that you're on to potentially something new here with a new platform. Can you maybe talk about that and, really developing things and breaking it down to a first principle type of way of thinking?
Yeah, look, the chapters, the titles of the chapters, all roads lead to and from strategy. Words matter,
Yeah.
the trek towards maturation, effective leadership teams, all the things that are in the book are the same things that have been through and through true in the organizations, big and small. And so, yeah, I'm about to lead a new platform. It's a multidisciplinary platform focused on a specific sector in the market in a specific part of the country. We're not trying to be all things to all people. We're not trying to just become a national firm or, go
Mhm.
to larger, more complex organizations. We're sticking to exactly the type of clients that we serve now. And it's a part of the market that is underserved to a certain extent. And at the same time, words will matter.
Yeah.
Strategy, all roads will lead to and strategy, building the engines will be important. And so the lessons in the book uh, uh, appeal and are usable regardless of, in my opinion, they apply regardless of the type of organization. Prime example, I'm advising a $100 million, maybe $200 million professional services organization, not part of PE, excuse me, not part
Mhm.
of the CPA world. Professional services, not part. The principles are exactly the
The
same,
same.
Rory. It's the same merry-go-round. It's because guess what? It's people. And
Yeah.
a partner-led organization is a partner-led organization, whether you're a law firm, architectural firm, PR firm, CPA firm. The common denominator is people.
Yeah.
And so this platform is very exciting. It's going to be sponsor backed. I'm really excited because the leaders are aligned.
Mhm.
Alignment is so critical. They came up with the thesis before they invited me in to learn about it. So they knew what they were going to do. Then they invited me in.
Yeah.
Then the spark happened, and it's like, wait, we can do something really, really cool together. And then the dominoes fell one by
Let
one.
me ask that. What is that thesis, or what made it so compelling that I know you probably get a lot of overtures, Alan, from folks out there to lead their organizations. What made this opportunity so compelling for you to come on board?
They knew the markets they wanted to be in vis-a-vis the geographic markets.
Okay.
They knew the client type they wanted to serve. They knew the integration, the horizontal. I talk about vertical to horizontal.
Yep.
They knew that being horizontal was critical, and they already started working on it before the consummation of the transaction. They recognized that they needed both an organic and an inorganic play, and they had experience in that. And when you pull it all together and you look at the mission and the foundational mission that we're looking to achieve, when you hear about it, it'll make sense. All the different components of aligning behind the what we're going to do, for who, and where, they were already made. I
Yeah.
didn't have to convince them that we should go on this journey. Normally, in a CPA firm, partner-led organization, somebody stands up and says, "I'm going to lead us, and I'm going to lead us to a new future." And trust me, we're going to when we get there. Look, I may have shared this with you. I remember in 2018, probably shared this with you in our last call. We set a goal of some astronomical growth,
Yeah.
uh, that we were going to hit 1.5 billion by 2025. And my mathematician leaders went back in the back room and they came back and said,
The
Alan, it's impossible.
calculations. Yeah.
You can't do it because you've had to do this, this, and this. And so trying to convince them, now, mind you, we did it 2 years early. We
Yeah.
achieved our goal in 2023, but trying to convince them, I didn't have to convince anybody when I walked into this thing. It was already, the ingredients were already on the table and they were somewhat mixed. All I needed to do was organize it and systematize it with what I've done. And it came to life like that. I had instant alignment. I didn't have to cajole and promise things and convince them. They wanted what they had put on the table. They just didn't know how to. They needed a different catalyst to shape it in a different way. And then it was like, that's it. We're ready. Let's go.
Yeah. Can I ask about, a little bit of the particulars, the where, the what service offerings? Can you share that information to get a little more specific for us, Alan?
Yeah, no, I get it. Thanks. Or, look, we're going to be in the Southeast.
Okay.
We're going to be in the Southeast. That's right, Southeast. And we're going to be focusing on the small and medium-sized businesses, the
Mhm.
lifeblood of all of our communities.
Yeah.
And we're going to be delivering kind of the life cycle of services. Some would say one-stop shop, what have you. But we're going
I
to
call it a
take them.
virtual family office.
There you Yeah, we all have our way, but basically from cradle to grave, so to speak,
Yeah,
of
yeah,
the business life cycle. And so you look three markets: geography, knowledge, and capabilities.
yeah,
We're gonna be very knowledge focused, and we're gonna drive the capabilities that are gonna be able to serve these smaller, less sophisticated financially and technology wise companies so that we can do it for them. But we're gonna be focused solely on
yeah.
that sector in the marketplace.
Yeah, I know you talked about that in the book, the location, knowledge, and capabilities, and just the capabilities aspect expanding, right? Those expanding into wealth management, estate planning, valuation, and other services. Is that what we're talking about here?
Yes, it is. It's technology based, it's
Yeah,
risk services,
risk
it's
is yeah,
wealth services, it's outsourced services, MSPs, all the things that the smaller organization doesn't want to bring in full time.
yeah,
And we've got a very nice start of the service complement that companies like that need.
yeah. All right. So, which of the principles from the book there, the themes, are you going to focus on first as you lead this new organization?
Well, we're certainly going to get to strategy and really understand what our strategies are.
Can you
Before
talk
that,
about I know we've talked about this before, but for our audience members, can you kind of tell them the difference between strategy and planning and your philosophy there?
yeah,
Yeah.
thank you. Plans are actions. Plans
Yeah.
are the how you get things done. Plans are the campaigns you run, the mailings you execute,
Right.
the pipeline you work. The strategy is what are you looking to deliver? What are you looking to look like? What are you looking to be able to deliver to the marketplace? And how do you want to be seen in the or in the ecosystem? What is it that you want to be for them? And then you figure out, put the plan in place to execute getting there. Uh, and so the individual activities are not a strategy. That's the how. And so
Yeah.
people say we're going to do strategic planning every year. That's confusing to me.
It's like an oxymoron.
Right. You're doing planning every year to update your activities to make sure that you achieve your
In alignment.
strategy.
Yeah.
Right. Right. So we're going to focus on that. Um, in a lot of organizations, there's a lot of hustle and hope. You do a
Yeah.
lot of activities and you hope you get the opportunity. And that came from a client of mine, one of the C-suite I was advising. He said, Alan, yeah, my plan is to hustle and hope. And I'm like, okay, let's organize. Let's get a little crisper on that.
Yeah.
Before that though, Rory, the thing that I'm going to focus on is lexicon of the organization. How do we describe who
Yeah.
we are, what we do, what words? There's a chapter in the book that says words matter.
Yeah.
Words do matter, right? And so if we build on what is it that we're going to say about us, who we are, how we are, and what are we not going to say?
Right.
And what's my job of communicating and repeating the message over and over so people it just becomes ingrained in who people are and how they show up and how they speak. That is a very important alignment facilitator.
Yeah. I mean,
Words
I
and
love the me in mine versus we and ours. Like, that hits
right,
home. And it's team members instead of staff. Do you
exactly.
have any new hits here, Alan, for the lexicon?
uh, well, I had the hustle and hope. That was a
I
newer
like that.
one.
Yeah.
Um, uh, somebody said to me the other day, and I haven't really refined this, but he said, "You know what, Alan? That's just a sugar high. That's not a balanced meal." And what he was talking about was
Mm,
an event, something that got everybody excited. That's just a sugar
right.
high. You think it's great, but it's not a well-balanced meal. It's not organized. It's just a
Right.
jolt. It's a
Yeah.
piece of
It's
candy.
like coming back from a Tony Robbins seminar and you're walking on coals, right? Like,
Yeah,
no, we
there
just
you
need to
go.
have
You're jacked.
meditation. Yeah. And healthy meals,
Yeah,
right? We need to have the
yeah.
consistency every day.
It's your shot of espresso at 3 in the
Yeah.
afternoon or whatever. So
Yeah.
so that is that's one that I actually just heard and I can't recall where I heard it from. I loved it. Um, Look, to me, how you describe what you are is critical. And here's here's a play on words, and it's a play on
Mhm.
strategy. I was talking to some of the team members of this new platform the other day, and we were talking about change and how are things going to be different. And I said, listen, everyone, yes, we're going to have different ways of doing things. And yes, we're going to take on technology and all that. But at the end of the day, what I want you to focus on is executing our mission. I want you to execute our mission, not focus on doing a tax return or an audit. That's
Yeah.
the how you execute the mission. If you're executing the mission and what we're here to do on behalf of our clients, everything will work out. So
Yeah.
think about that. Think about working across the organization and the results will result. And so think about a broad sense of what we're here to deliver to our clients, not just a linear line of what you do. And so
Yeah.
again, it's mission and vision, mission and vision,
Mission
mission
vision.
and vision, and drip that. There wasn't an address or a communication or whatever, however mode of communication it was while I was a CEO that I didn't drop our mission and vision.
Mission and vision.
I said it all the time, and it got everybody to understand it and live it themselves.
Yeah. And that becomes the foundation for trust. And trust is really essential for scale and collaboration.
Right. You need to know that everybody's doing their job so that when you do your job, the old just do your job, whether that was Nick Saban or
Yeah.
whomever it was, just do your job. Well, your job is to execute the mission on behalf of our clients. That's what we're here to do. And not a lot of people understand that. I was in a meeting with about, I don't know, 200 partners.
Yeah.
This was a few months ago. And we were using the book as a foundation. And I went to strategy and I said, all right, who knows what our vision is? Excuse me, who knows what our mission is? Not a single person. I said, all right, I went to the website today. Open up your browsers, go to your website. What is it? And it's so interesting that partners don't associate enough of what they do to what the company is doing. They only associate to what they do.
They want.
They
Yeah.
don't associate it to the business. And I was having a conversation with a leader the other day, and I asked him how closely associated are our partners to the financial plan of their practice versus just what they do. And
Yeah.
the answer wasn't too appealing. The answer is
Yeah.
they're not. Because this is a very vertical, bottom-up, partner, individual-led profession, which is why all the principles in Break the Mold are so critical to get people to realize that we're going to do
Result.
our task on behalf of the organization or in addition to the organization.
Yeah. And I really liked, Alan, um, your chapter where you talked about soft ass, which is vague, and how you need to be really clear with your request, the who, the what, the when, the why, and I think
Yeah.
can you, right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah. Lori Zukin, who's a wonderful advisor, coach, gave us that
yeah,
present, if you will, that gift of soft versus hard asks. She also gave us the term, and I'm the Commodore of the old club, which is a very storied boating club.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
And I find in our board meetings, we stack. Somebody says something, and then somebody says, and yeah, and we stack things. And so whether it's hard asks or soft asks, whether it's stacking, whether it's asking clear and concise comments, those things are critical to the effectiveness of a team.
Yeah.
And and I don't know if it's because people are nervous or sheepish about asking specific asks with the who, the what, the why, et cetera, or if maybe they don't want the answer. It makes meetings so much more effective when you get really intentional and prescriptive.
Yeah. And I like the fist to five,
Oh, yeah.
which, yeah, can you dig into that?
Yeah. Yeah. So the fist of five is if somebody has a proposal and sometimes you get a lot of silent agreement.
Right.
And so you say, no, you got to show your fist of five. You got to tell
Yeah.
me. And if it's a four or five, you're good. But if it's a three or two or a one, you've got some issues with the pathway or with the decision. And if it's a two or a one, the question is, are there a lot of twos and ones whereby you really don't have consensus or enough consensus?
Yeah.
A three is kind of neutral, right? A four or five is
Buy-in.
positive. Four says, yeah, I'm good, but for one thing, but go ahead, right? A three is, yeah, I got a lot of questions, but I'm okay if you go forward. And it's basically putting your money where your mouth is.
Yeah.
And it's good because it allows people to avoid the uncomfortable situation of saying things. People don't like to challenge their colleagues,
Yeah.
when they come up with an idea. And so Fist of Five gave us a platonic way of figuring out where everybody was,
Yeah.
and in a very powerfully platonic way. It was
Yeah.
great.
Well, let's talk about figuring out where everybody is because I'm sure, obviously you've been advising PE firms, advising firms out there. We are in a new era of private equity here. Can you talk about how you're advising partners out there and firms on, whether they should stay independent or take outside investments?
Yeah. Yes. I take a different view on this, or I guess it's my own unique view. Look, what is necessary as a partner-led organization are the same things as necessary as with institutional capital or a
Yeah.
strategic sponsor. It's the same thing. Organic growth, CAGR, transformation, sustainability, being relevant, all the components.
Yeah.
And it's no different than the 25, 22 or whatever companies that we look to acquire, and everyone said we're fiercely independent. Well, okay, well, what does that mean? I
Yeah.
don't really know what that means.
Break it down.
And so, look, I see a lot of benefit in bringing on a strategic partner. Money aside, I see a lot of benefit because the linear fashion of progress is slow.
So,
It's slow. It's slower than needed. And I'm not even suggesting it's because AI or what have you. Now, look, the playing field has changed because
yeah.
capital is in the businesses and capital people are being monetized and the prices are going up. So that has changed. And so in order to keep up in an acquisition world, you've got to have capital. And partner-led organizations where they're not taking advantage of the capital markets are at a huge disadvantage. Okay. Uh, from a strategic perspective, shifting from a lifestyle business, which again, as I say, is not about having a second car and a beach house. It's about
Right.
good enough is good enough. We do what we can, and whatever we accomplish is good enough, and we try again next year. That's a lifestyle business versus no, we have a specific plan. We're going to execute strategy. We're going to do what's necessary to achieve that. Now, nobody loses a limb if you don't achieve it, but you're much more intentional about achieving it than you are with a lifestyle business. That to me is the biggest benefit from having an outsider as a shareholder and advisor and partner, shifting from a lifestyle business to a business. That's a
Yeah.
huge enabler.
Yeah. And I know you talk a lot about scaling. It's not about squeezing more out of people. It's about, building the business and the engines to scale itself. But,
Yeah.
let's go into, I know that chapter was great and really how we could build engines to get this to scale.
Look, humans can only do so much. We can
Right.
only work so many hours. We need rest. We need to regenerate, and more than that, in our profession, we're both player coaches, right? We're doing the work and we're
Mm.
selling the work. We're doing, and so there's only so much you can do. And and there are technical partners and there are client service partners and there are finding partners, selling partners. And the technical partners aren't as interested in growing things. They're interested in doing the technical work, which is so critically valuable and important. And yet that book of business isn't growing every year unless the other partners are feeding them and selling more work. So at one point it does slow down. And so the organization has to build the ecosystem and the tools and the practices to do things with the partners with the people, for the people. And in some instances, despite the framework, despite the fact that not everybody's going to be selling. And
Yeah.
so we need sustainable organic growth, CAGR. That's the true indicator of value, probably even more than profitability. Now I know the value is based on your EBITDA. If you're not growing, there's no way you're going to
Yeah.
get to be profitable. If you're growing, you can at least have a chance because you can rationalize and you can systematize, et cetera. But if you're not growing, you're dead in the water. And so to me, building engines, whether they're communications engines, data usage engines, recruiting, development, sales, uh, uh, horizontal, making a firm vertical to horizontal engines, the organization enabling and working on behalf of and enabling individuals to accomplish more without working more. That's
Yeah.
the secret of behind engines.
Well, isn't the secret, and you stated, I think in the book, it's really slowing down to speed up. That's that old adage, right? Slowing down to speed up to build those systems, to build buy-in, to align strategy.
Yeah. Look, there's my predecessor said, look, bigger isn't better, better's better. Tim Christian,
Yeah.
one of the goats. Bigger isn't better, better's better. And that's the same. You don't doing more, running faster, jumping higher is not the solution. It's getting organized. It's slowing down to build the infrastructure, which will allow you to, as you say, accomplish more or vis-a-vis grow faster, right? That to me is so critical versus put a plan together, just do more conferences, more trade shows,
Yeah.
touch more people. Okay, maybe, but and you're not going to be able to do that. You can't do that in a sustainable fashion. You can't do that year over year over year. I have one uh, company I advise where they have been running in sixth gear for many years, and they're not slowing down to to build the platform. And I'm fearful that
Yeah.
something's going to happen that's going to shake them. It's going to happen to them, and they're going to be like, "Well, what just happened?" It's here. Look, I read about it in the book. Baker Tilly was one of the fast, if not the one of, it was the fastest growing firm from 2000 to 2008 or nine, and then we all know what happened. And we were really good, and the fish were jumping in the boat. New business was
Yeah.
jumping in the boat. Well, 2008, 2009, the new business spigot turned off. The fish stopped jumping in the boat. We were in a dry hole. The lake had been fished. We didn't have the engine. We didn't know how to grow. And so sales went, the incline curve or the growth curve went from a nice incline to flat to,
Yeah.
to negative. I mean, and
Negative.
that's in the record books, in the league table reports. And so
Yeah.
we didn't slow down to build the engine. Now we did afterwards, but we had a hard going for a little bit because we hadn't built that engine. When things are going great, nobody thinks you need an engine. That's the
Right.
time to build an engine because one day the merry-go-round may stop.
Yeah.
So
Good. Good.
I'm a huge believer in that concept of slowing down to speed up and to have the organization be a
Yeah.
business which is enabling the results to result from our activities.
Yeah.
That to me is critical.
Yeah. Well, let's talk about outcomes because I know you're big on outcomes and client experience and really charging for those outcomes and the value you provide and not for the inputs and the production. Can you talk about, that really that mindset shift or the importance of really, building a firm off of the values-based outcomes that you provide clients?
Yeah. The thing I'm going to say is it's bloody hard because you're going to have to change mindset. Human nature is
Yeah.
human. It's undefeated, as somebody said to me recently. And so, look, it's something that we will continue to push on. I don't think it's going to be snap the fingers and solve it. I think the firms that are willing to break the mold and allow the practices that can operate that way even more profitably than by the hour, let them do it, spin them off, put them over,
Yeah.
put a wall between the types of practices. You know, I think one of the challenges with the large firms in their CAS practices is that they aren't willing to let the CAS practice from an operational perspective, a structure perspective, or a pricing and fee basis perspective operate the way they need to operate. It always comes back to hours. Well, how are we going to account for that in the financial statements? How are we going to record that? What's that got to do anything with anything?
Yeah. This is where accountants going to be less accountants and more like financial advisors.
Right. I was talking with a potential an acquisition candidate
Yeah.
for this new platform, and great firm, 50% EBITDA percentage, very struck. And he made a comment. He said, "Alan, I do not want to go into a CPA firm
Yeah.
because
Of
that's
that.
a different organization than what I'm building, and it will be an enormous pull and tug or fight. So I need to be part of a consulting organization, a productized consultancy, not a CPA firm, because we are so far different. We are at the other
Yeah.
end of the spectrum here, and we'll be watered down if we go into a traditional CPA firm."
Yeah. And you talk about freedom, but within framework, right? And so, a lot of stuff you want people to do is to have that freedom, but also you can't have full autonomy because then it becomes chaos. So can you talk about the freedom within a framework philosophy?
Yeah, look, it goes back to a great quote, and I'm sure you know it. Discipline Equals Freedom by Jocko Willink,
Yeah,
right? His
Jocko's
book
great.
Extreme Ownership, right? Great book. And a lot of partners in firms are afraid of discipline or systemization because they say you're going to ruin my entrepreneurial spirit. No,
Right.
actually, if I give you some structure, if I give you some organization, the framework that we know 85% of the stuff's going to be done this way, so you can have some fun in the last 15. We're actually going to make more money because we're more
Yeah.
profitable in the 85, and you will have some opportunity. So I'm a huge believer that freedom in the framework, that the the word that's so important there is framework.
Framework.
Is that an organized framework? Are we doing the same thing,
Yeah.
the same product across the organization the same way so that it's systematized?
Yeah. And
That's the
scalable. Yeah.
that's the critical success factor there. I'm a huge believer in that. And that's the old adage of going, my book, my client, my book, my practice, or my office, and everybody else's. No, it's the firm, our firm, made up of the parts or enabled by the parts, and we're working much more horizontally, which is mentioned in the book. Huge shift in these firms, huge.
Yeah.
Because
And
remember, they were
Pete,
brought into this,
yeah.
excuse me, Rory, they were brought into this profession to be technicians, to be subject matter experts, to build,
Yeah.
to bring in my client, which I understand why they say that. And that's how we define our value as the clients we serve. And so I am chipping away at
Right.
a foundational principle that has made this
Systemic.
profession systemic. Exactly.
Yeah. I mean, that's the whole difference between the consultative approach versus the expert approach. And I get it. We all have credentials. We all went to school. We all get licensed and have those letters behind our name. And we want to show our value and we want to, provide our knowledge. And it's the beauty of what I talk about and the human first approach is really dropping our guard and using that blank canvas and really, understanding the human behind that numbers and just asking great questions. And then you can guide them to hopefully meet their goals, dreams, and aspirations.
Couldn't have said it better. Totally agree. Yeah.
Yeah. Cool. All right. Let's wrap up here. Is there anything you want to share with our audience that we didn't touch on, Alan?
No, other than the book is out, pre-orders are available on Amazon. I think they are going to be shipped out on the 16th of December. I've got one in my hand. I'm signing a lot of
Yes.
them. It was a fun project. You never know what it's going to be like. I tell you, a 19-year-old son was flying back to San
Yeah.
Diego. He's a sophomore at San Diego State, was home for Thanksgiving, and I gave him a copy, signed it, et cetera. And midway through the flight back, he said, "Dad, I'm reading the book, and wow, I'm learning a lot about your career and your
Yeah.
your your experience. This is awesome." And with all due respect to everybody else that's out there, the fact that
Right.
your son reads your book was pretty cool. Outside of that, continue to advise firms. Break the mold is consistently apparent, and part of the things that need to be broken are consistent across virtually every organization I touch.
Yeah.
And I've been out of the game for a few years. I'm really excited to get back in with this platform. It's going to be announced in the next couple of weeks. We're already working on it right now, and it's going to be a lot of fun. We're going to have a lot of fun scaling a new, kind of a new category in the
I love
space.
it.
Yeah.
Yeah. I knew you're a category creator. You have that
Oh, thank you.
that energy here, Alan. I appreciate you coming on the podcast again. I love the book. I already went through the every page there, and I look forward to learning about the new platform here in the near future.
Awesome, Rory. Thanks again. You got a great platform, and you got a great voice as well.
Uh,
And thanks for all you do for everybody out in the financial world.
Thank you, buddy. Appreciate it.
Opinions expressed by Rory Henry on this website, podcast, interview are solely their opinions and do not reflect the opinions of Arrowroot Family Office LLC or their parent company or affiliates, and may have been previously disseminated on television, radio, internet, or another medium. You should not treat any opinion expressed by anyone as a specific inducement to make a particular investment or follow a particular strategy, but only as an expression of their opinions. Past performance is not indicative of future results.